that same mindset and just play every game the same way that we always do.
Anything else for the players? All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you.
Questions for Coach?
Well, Coach, it was a rough start, falling behind 8-0 in the first game, but I guess the silver lining is the way they bounced back.
That is, and then finding three more pitchers, I thought McGovern and Fitzgerald and Dvorsky really pitched extremely well, putting zeros up at the end of that game. I mean, they gave us a shot to come back, and we did start to make a comeback. It just, ran out of innings. But those three guys, I mean, they, at least from a coach's vantage point, that says, hey, give us more opportunities, and let's see what we could do, and some, maybe some, more of a leverage type situation, not just a margin type game. But love seeing, McGovern's just deceptive and got some funk to his delivery. Fitzgerald with that quick tempo delivery and the attack with the fastball and cutter and the slider, and then Dvorsky with the fastball curveball split, and all of them throwing strikes. Those three, that was really the biggest positive of that first game of the doubleheader. See those guys maybe solidify themselves as three more weapons for us in the bullpen.
What was maybe the message between games after the way they lost the first game?
Anytime you have a doubleheader, the best thing about that, where you drop game one, is it's just like amnesia. You just instantly forget and flush it and move on. You learn the lessons you need to learn, but it's just, you get something to eat, you change your jersey, and you get ready to come out with, and you make the adjustment. If you win game one, it's, you stick with all the positive things that were working for you in game one and want to continue to build off of those. But our guys were, they were definitely pissed after game one. I mean, you could just see it, that we had just, come out and dug such a hole. I don't think anyone, with Darden on the mound could have predicted, based on how he's pitched the last few weeks. But that's baseball, and that happens some days, and some days pitchers are up and they could, any offense could take advantage of some mistake pitches, and they did. In between games, they made a quick adjustment and came out, with a very, very focused look in their eye, and then you see the approach was executed, and they were putting really good swings on the ball all game.
You talked about running out of innings in that first game on the offensive side. Do you think that kind of carried over into game two offensively a little bit?
Felt like it, yeah. I mean, Blake hits the 3-run jack in the ninth, and I think everybody knew we've just come back so many times. We played from deficits so many times. We knew it was coming, but we had just 8 runs that's a big hole. Especially when their starting pitcher is holding us down. It's one thing to hold us down for 3 or 2, 3, 4 innings, but he was holding us down going into the 7th. So it was just a big deficit to overcome. I think they were angry because it was too little, too late. But then it was also they were going to capture we won the final few frames, and were able to carry that into game 2.
You mentioned Crichton. You pinched him at the end of the first game. Then he goes 3 for 4 in game 2. Got to be nice to see that with Will Taylor out for the rest of the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, there's a group of outfielders that are all chomping at the bit, with Jack Crichton and Tristan Becerra and Nate Hall, Leighton Lackey, and they all are going to get opportunities, and that's just kind of, it's what you want to see. Becerra did it earlier in the year and hits a couple of homers against Greensboro, and then carries it over through Duke, and then Jack Crichton with big, 3 hits today. Everything's hard, so you just kind of want to see that spark, and then you just kind of ride the hot hand, and so I expect we'll continue to do that. Same thing with Cooper Vlauser or Jacob Jarrell, and just finding some different combinations, and still have some moving parts, and those are the adjustments we got to make now that we've been forced to make these adjustments with the guys that are out, not just Will Taylor, but Chufo. And so you know, it's a good thing. It's not ideal at times, but this is a perfect time of the year to have adversity like this, as we're, you know, finishing the month of April and getting ready to head into May and June.
I'm going to ask you kind of about that. The last 10 games, you had the most adversity you've had all year. Your assessments for the last 10 games and how your team has handled these adversities.
Yeah, I mean, we've won a lot, and we've learned a lot of lessons in when the outcome has still been in the win column, and it's a different lesson learned when you lose, and then it's a completely different feeling as well when, you know, some of your mainstay players are out for extended periods of time, and it just, you know, the default was to this damper that it kind of puts on the mood, and, you know, because there's a high level of care in this room for each other. I mean, these guys genuinely care about each other. So that's part of it. You feel bad for your buddy, and then the other part is, you know, how are we going to make these adjustments? And so there is that, you know, there is an adjustment period, and we've been going through it the last 2 weeks, and it's not been it has not been the same level of baseball that we were playing against Duke and Florida State. I mean, it's certainly, we've taken some hits, but we will go through it and battle and fight and compete, and you know, I think it'll make us better because of it. I'm never happy because of injuries, but this time of year is totally fine to get knocked down a little bit. This whole thing, the adversity of the injuries and the losing and all of it, will be part of the story. But we're still finding ways, and we found a way to win the week this week and win the series, and even though it wasn't always pretty.
How well did you get to know the late Doug Kingsmore, and how special was it for you to be a part of that celebration for him today?
It was a great celebration. You know, what he's meant to Clemson baseball over the decades, and the generosity of the Kingsmore family, and the entire family. I mean, his sons Mike and Sam, and just the whole family's philanthropic heart, and just it takes people like that to build programs and to help build athletic departments. And when you have those types of people that are willing to give 7-figure contributions and pour into the investment of young athletes and the resources for those young athletes, I mean, those people are worth their weight in gold. So it's great to honor the life and celebrate the life of Doug Kingsmore and be there with his family, and just certainly appreciate all his contributions through the years.
Following up on Will's question, going into these last 15 games, what's the good that you've seen in this team, and then where are some areas of improvement?
15 games. Well, let's see. That goes back to Hennessy, do the quick math on that. Where's 15?
15 games left, going into the final stretch.
Oh, 15 more games to go. Okay, say it again. Now I got it.
Going into the home stretch of the season, I'll put it that way.
Are you going to win them all like last year?
I like that plan.
What are some areas of improvement, and then what have you liked out of this team so far?
Well, let's break it down: pitching, defense, and offense. From the pitching side, Tristan Smith coming back, that's big, and now we're going to get him built back up, and so this will be going into this home stretch, or this final stretch of the regular season, with a rotation with him in it. That'll be good to see. Moved Austin Gordon to the bullpen, and start to work from back to front with some of these high leverage guys. Feel really good about that. And then it's the outliers. It's the 3 guys I mentioned earlier that may have a role now that didn't really have a role before. So it's still moving those pieces around and figuring out what fits best. Defensively, I think we're going to have some moving parts because Jimmy Overtop and Jacob Gerald can't catch every single game. They're going to share those duties, which moves first base around. With Will Taylor out, we're going to have play some matchups with left and right-handed pitching. With Becerra being the left-handed hitter, and Crichton being a right-handed hitter, Nate Hall being a right-handed hitter. So Jack Crichton can also play first base. So we got some things that we can still figure out. I think I guess my answer is these 15 games are, going to be part of the figuring it out phase of what's going to make us the best team and figure out what's going to help us win the most. So the last couple of weeks, it's seemed sometimes out of rhythm or out of sync just because we're trying to figure that out. So hopefully we get it figured out here in the next week or two, and get back into a good steady flow and a steady rhythm as we get into May and into June.
Along those lines, you got a tough road stretch coming up at Georgia, at Louisville. Charlie Condon leading the nation in batting average and home runs, but that's always a tough midweek game in Athens, isn't it?
Oh yeah, they're a great team, and he and the guy from Oregon State are kind of the front runners for Golden Spikes. So yeah, he may get the Barry Bonds treatment. We may walk in with the bases loaded. Don't be surprised if we do. We've already talked about it. So he's a superstar, and he's having a superstar year.
Anything else for Coach? All right, thank you.